Hello, everybody, and welcome to Backlot 605. Hopefully, my mic is working this time. I don't know if it is.
You sound a lot better this time than last couple times.
That's good. We are testing the limits of our StreamYard right now. We have 5 people in this chat because I am joined, actually 6 people with five cameras going on. Anyway, I'm your host, Casey Keldman. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, Brian Mensing.
What's up?
What's up, Brian? And in studio, because I didn't want to break this entire system, is Sam Lenz.
How's it going?
It's going great, Sam. And we're joined by the 3 hosts of Wednesday Comics. Guys, we're not going to talk about comics today. We're talking about non-comics, but we're like, whatever. We'll bring on the Wednesday Comics guys. Like them. So we got Alex, Marvin, and Garrett here.
Hello, everyone. Book adjacent.
It is. It is superheroes, technically. So
yes, it is superheroes. Well, it's more than a superhero movie, but
right.
We got superheroes basically to the max today with Darkman that we're talking about.
I would just like to point out I was completely cheesing out while the intro music was going on because I'm watching all 3 of their heads bobbing to the intro music in the background. I'm watching all the little things. I'm like, yep, there we go.
getting in the vibe.
I didn't realize you could see me.
Yeah,
that they can see us, we can't see them.
Yeah.
He's like, dang it.
Yeah, picking a booger or something, you know.
I was really rocking out to that music for my book.
That's okay. I do it all the time from home too. And then I got here and I looked and I'm like, oh, he can probably see me when I'm doing that.
I can definitely see everyone when they're doing anything.
Yep.
Funny.
Shout out to next week's guest, Joe Fisher, for this headbanging music that we got going on that no one ever gets to see us headbang to. What? Maybe we'll do it at the end of the show. We'll all headbang to it together. It'll be like the scene in Wayne's World. We're just, except virtually. I mean, that's how things work in 2021 now.
I'm
Except
okay
none of
with
us
that.
have the hair. None of us have the hair.
Sam's halfway there.
I'm working on it.
Okay, you're closest for sure.
Alex is the farthest, so Alex, you're gonna have to catch up.
I just cut it off just last week. So had I known that we were gonna headbang, I would have left it.
He's like, it would have been like a whole inch longer.
No, I was getting kind of shaggy. I mean, not Fabio hair, but pretty close.
I've seen you in your shaggy state, Alex. It's still not that bad.
No, my shaggy's not even that bad. It's bad for me, but not for anybody else.
Is your shaggy even shaggy, like Scooby-Doo shaggy?
No.
No, no. Shaggy now it got past my ears just slightly, and I'm like, no, cut that shit off.
It's military school shaggy.
There, yes, yeah. I still look good,
Yeah.
preppy almost.
Gotcha.
His shaggy is like a 1950s hippies look, right? And you're
There
like,
you
that
go.
guy looks like a normal guy.
All right, jokes aside, let's move on. Let's get into this show here. Let's jump into first of all, the boys from Wednesday Comics. We're doing this series this month for SuperCon coming up the first weekend of October. So I'm going to throw it off to you guys. I actually don't know what you guys are going to be doing at SuperCon this year. What do you guys have going on SuperCon wise?
We plan to invade a certain film festival. No, I mean, we're going to
bring it WO versus WCW. It's going to happen.
We have a show on Saturday night that we'll be doing. Not sure what that'll be yet or who will be on it, but that is something we're doing. But mainly just going to be around. And in years past, we've basically done a show at the con. So a show in secret and a show in public. So 2 shows usually come out of that. So we'll go do that and then also check out stuff that's going on. So we just had Shane on the show this week, and we talked all everything that's going on there this year. And pretty excited to less than a month here to go out there and what is it, the 4th, 5th annual?
The first, second, third.
Every day except what
Marvin's going to show up and go, why is everybody gone?
He's going to show up on a Monday and a
It's
Tuesday.
Monday.
Like, why is no one here?
The 4th or 5th annual SuperCon is.
Nice save.
I know it's the 1st or the 3rd. I've been saying it all week. So
Well, we know the steel trap that I usually have, you don't have. So, you know what? You may have forgotten from 3 days ago.
Alex has been losing his memory. So, I mean, he's got.
I can't remember squat anymore.
The gray hair's coming in, as we talked about a second ago. No longer able to grow any hair, and memory's going away. So,
yeah, it's kind of like Highlander with memory loss between those two because you never know which one it is.
That's right. You can stick around with me. I'm completely okay.
Today's movie, even though I've seen it before, I did write notes because I know I would forget stuff. So I wrote notes so I can remember what I wanted to say when I was watching it.
Good call. Maybe that's something we need to do.
Yeah, we should probably, work.
I was going to say, Sam, we're young enough. We can still remember things. Come on.
That's fair. That's fair.
No,
yeah, you give it a couple of years and then eventually.
What movie are we talking about again?
Scooby-Doo from 2002, Sam. It's your
Okay,
favorite
well,
movie.
I know that one line for line.
Which is ironic you brought that up because I did watch it the other day.
Did you?
And because I watched the new Scoob movie, the CGI one, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
not kind of like an old Scooby-Doo. It's more like a superhero kind of thing.
Mhm.
And
It's horrible.
so I was wondering, because my son is into Scooby-Doo, if he would like that movie. Turns out a little too scary still, but he's okay with the show. But I guess I don't know. Once they got to the island in the first movie, he was done. He wasn't going to watch it more. So
He was just all watching through his fingers.
well, when you get to the island,
Get Rowan Atkinson off the screen. He's scary.
hey,
There's nothing scary about Mr. Bean.
I did see. So at that part, when he did get scared around that part, so you're not totally wrong, Casey. But when he popped on screen, I was like, I wonder if he'd like Mr. Bean. That's my first thought when I saw him. I was like, Mr. Bean, there we go.
He might be a little bit. I was to say, if it isn't Mr. Bean, I'd want to show him the character from Rat Race, but that might be even a little bit language-wise, might not be something for a small child
Hey,
yet.
why not Johnny English? There's two of them.
Ooh, Johnny English. But there is that
There
whole
you go.
bathroom scene though, so
It's time for Rowan Atkins month.
Hey, I grew up on Rat Race, so maybe that explains too much about me.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, probably. So, boys, let's jump into the box office because the number one movie this weekend is, hey, guess what? Based on a comic book. It is Shang-Chi: The Legend of the Ten Rings. $35.79 million for this movie here. Second weekend out. Me, Brian, and Sam, we all got to talk about it in over hour-long discussion over on our Patreon. I want to hear some thoughts from our guests this week. What did you guys think of this movie? I think some of you are kind of on the fence a little bit from what I remember on the MCU for a while, but maybe sometimes you guys are coming around lately. What did you guys think of this newest one?
I'm going to break the news to you, and I think Garrett only saw it.
Yes.
Whoa.
But
What?
here's the
I
reason
know.
why.
I'm checking
One.
out.
One, in my head, I was like, do I want to go to a theater and see this at this time? Because they didn't put it out like they did the rest of them on demand, so you can kind of watch it.
Yep.
And then two, actually kind of forget. I'm kind of like on a break-esque. I've been watching this What If show, and I'm not into it at all. And so I'm not really excited that much. I'll go see Shang-Chi. I'll go see it. But it wasn't a thing that I was going to go. But now I hear everybody's loving it. So now I'm like, I got to go see it, which is
I
better
loved
now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah,
love my theater experience though, so I
That's-
totally get it. Like,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, I
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
right now I want to go now.
Exactly.
You also did mention though that you loved it enough outside of that aspect of it that you would have paid $30 to go and watch it continuously at home.
oh yeah, 100%. Like, this is actually one of the few Disney movies that has come out that like I would have probably paid the $30
Yeah, me too.
for,
Yeah.
and they didn't do it with this one. So I was
They
like,
decided
oh, all right.
not to do it with this one, and then now that it's been number one 2 weeks in a row, they decided the rest of the year they're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's
that theater money.
Yay.
that's exactly what happened over the last year and a half. Is that I got so used to the experience at home. Now when I go, all I think about is like that person's too loud. I hate this person behind me. Like it's just like I don't feel like I want to go anymore. Not to
Also, that person coughed. Oh my god, I'm gonna die in 10 days. Like,
we went to go see Black Widow. Yeah, not only that, but we went to go see Black Widow. And behind us, there was somebody who hadn't seen any MCU movie.
Oh
So-
god.
And the whole
So
time
bad.
just asking questions, being like, at the spoilers, I guess, for the end, but somebody is not around at the end, and they were just like, "What happened?" And I was like, the person was like, "Oh, they're not around because of his other movie," and I was just like, the whole time asking questions, and so like it's just not only that, but what you said, Sam, like somebody coughs, and also now I'm thinking about that for 10 minutes. Being
Yep.
like, okay, so what kind of cough is that? Is that an allergy cough, or is that
Choked on your popcorn cough? I don't know.
If I look over, are they sweating? Are they also have a fever? I don't know what's going on here. So it's that, and then plus I mean it's been 18 months, and I haven't got that yet. So I'm trying to keep a record here, so I can go out there. I mean, but Shang-Chi sounds like one now I was going to be like, hey, let it die off a week, but now it's number one again.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
in terms of that dying off a week, though, it also did drop from like 80 million to 35. So
what was this competition this week?
The number 3 movie that only made $5 million.
The aforementioned movie. But that movie also. So I actually was curious and thinking about this because of your news coming up here in a second. Was that these movies that come out on HBO Max also at the same time don't seem to be doing as hot, but Black Widow did fine, and that was at the same time. But I think it's that price tag that
it is absolutely the price tag. I think it's absolutely, but I think it's also Warner Brothers going, you know what, this is helping us boost those HBO numbers. So
I saw the director of June was like, go see it in theaters, so we get a second one. But you think if it does good enough on HBO Max, they would just put out a second one, because it's like you said, Brian, like if it's pushing numbers, it doesn't matter if it's money that way or money this way, like it's still revenue.
I will say, I think it was, I would say it's, I think it was kind of a bad move that it came out on Labor Day, because like the week of the movie coming out, I was like, oh shit, this is coming out this weekend, and I'm like, can't go, like I'm living in Vermilion right now, and I went to Sioux City, and there was like 5 people in the theater, so it was actually pretty excellent. But I gotta say, I thought that like I'd get kind of sick of the Marvel, formula for Origins, and they kind of mix it up in such a way that I came out of it like that was so fresh and like just so fun to watch. Like I left just really impressed with what they had done, and like from score to like even the CGI just looks fantastic. But soundtrack, score, story, like the works, it was just a lot of fun, and I want to see it again. Like I had a great time.
Yeah.
Well, Garrett, then all 3 of us can go together next time you're in town. Because that's why I didn't go see it. I thought we didn't talk about seeing it. I don't need to go out of my way to go see it myself. I was going on a camping
trip, so I was like, I got to fit it in. Else I'm going to go on Facebook and see all the spoilers. So I got to go check it out.
You guys probably would know better than us because I haven't really looked into it. But it's coming out on Disney Plus 45 days afterwards. Is that the premiere access, or is that just going to be on there?
Well, as far as I know, it's not doing a premiere access at all.
Yeah, okay. I think it's just going to be going straight to Disney Plus, and then like you can probably I don't know, maybe paid VOD on other on Vudu and iTunes and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Alex, we're already 7 days in. I mean,
yeah, I can just wait. I just want to see before the Eternals comes out, and Spider-Man's the only one that I actually need to go see. So.
I am taking a break until Eternals. That's what my head said until people said Shang-Chi was good, because Eternals actually looks like different. Like even how cinematography wise looks way different. And so that was the movie I was like, oh, that looks good.
You mean it's not shot on green screens?
Yeah. Well, like what Garrett said, it breaks the formula. Like that's the thing. The formula is what I'm kind of sick of. And that's what if it's just like, hey, here's the formula again, but here's new things to it. I heard it gets good, but I watched an episode and a half, and it feels like Mad Libs for Marvel for me so far. It's just like, what if this person was this person? And it's like, yeah, okay, same story though. Not really that different, at least for the first episode and part of the second episode I watched. But that one actually, Eternals actually looks different enough where I'm like, oh, I'm sure that'll be somewhat different. But it is, if anybody that's a fan of our podcast is probably confused on why I didn't go see Shang-Chi, because I love Shang-Chi in the comics. I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi. Every time he pops up in the comics, it's my favorite thing. And I just, for some reason, like I said, I was sick of that formula, but everybody says it breaks the formula. So I'm going to go.
Oh, it absolutely does. It definitely does.
Marvin, I think you and Alex are going to love this movie. I think it's one of the it's one of the best Marvel movies, period.
It's definitely, especially for Origins.
That's what I heard. Somebody said, and I'm going to get your guys' take on this. Somebody said it was the best Marvel origin movie. Not the best movie, but the best origin.
I said it on our Patreon podcast that I think it's the best origin, at least since Phase 1, for sure.
You know what, Casey? I think it was you that said it. Didn't you tweet that also?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm like,
that was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I don't know. I've talked about the movie. We talked about the movie too much, but I think you guys are gonna love this movie. I think it's incredible. I think it's the one Marvel movie since I don't know, Guardians 2, where I was like, I need to go home and immediately watch this as soon as I can. So
I'm glad it's doing well though. I mean, that's a movie that a lot of people have been like, is this the one not going to do that well? Just because of it's not really a character that many people know about. And I think I talked about it too. I said, I think the concept of it and the story you can make around it would be fantastic. And also I kept saying, like, if you get the action right, just get the action right for Shang-Chi. Then because that's the greatest thing about when somebody writes him well in comics, especially when he's doing his own thing, is that if they do the action well, then it's something different from all the other superheroes. And so that's what I like seeing. So,
and the
that's what I'm hearing.
Very different in this one, so it's solid. I loved it. Yeah.
You know what? You convinced me. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go watch it, and if I get sick, I get sick. But that's the way life rolls. So
All right, number 2, a movie that I'm not going to risk life and limb to go out into the theater and watch and maybe die is Free Guy. $5.82 million for Free Guy. This movie is kind of the surprise hit of the second half of the summer, really. Continuing its box office run here, moving up to number 2. I believe it was at 3 last week.
It was either 3 or 4. I'm trying to remember when I updated the numbers.
I think Candyman was 2 last week. I don't know. Someone's going to be yelling at us either way. But
Free Guy was number 1 the weekend it came out, right?
Of the weekend it came out, Free Guy, I believe, was number 1. Yeah, because that was also the same week as Don't Breathe 2.
And it is also one of those the rare movies that is not going straight to streaming or on premium VOD somewhere.
And that was one movie when they announced that it wasn't going to touch that at all. I was surprised. I was like, Free Guy? That's the movie you put on streaming. Like, who's going to go to the theater and see that? But
me.
That might be the reason why it's doing so well, because you can't watch it anywhere else. So I think Ryan Reynolds has legs. No matter what anybody says, you throw him whatever he needs. Like, nothing's going to stop that guy. He could be in Green Lantern and it could be horrible, but people still go see movies for him. I don't think that.
It's people like my mom who see Ryan Reynolds on screen and go, "Oh, I'll go see that." You know, like my mom's like the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan. Anything Ryan Reynolds is in, she'll see it. Even like Deadpool 2, and it's like, you don't like movies like this, and then she still goes and sees it. You know, like
even Van Wilder.
I don't know if she's seen Van Wilder.
Oh God!
Ryan Reynolds could probably go make Green Lantern 2
before my mom got into Ryan Reynolds.
Oh no,
he probably could, Brian. I mean, at this point,
he could probably make Green Lantern 2, purposely knowingly that he's like, I'm going to shit on myself this entire time because I know how bad I was in the first one, and I still make $1 billion.
Well, ever since.
I still watch his Green Lantern at least once every 2 years, and I would welcome a Green Lantern 2. It's not a good movie, but I have so much fun watching it.
Yeah, you turn it into a comedy, then it's enjoyable because it's really, really bad.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it is. It's really it's the bad movie that I put on when I just need something that's like while I'm doing laundry or something.
You see Sinestro like turning yellow, and you're just like, "Why? We haven't gotten there yet. Like, why are we here?"
Sam, that's called Shopping Mall.
I think the main.
I'm invested in Shopping Mall.
I think the main thing that Ryan Reynolds gets right is that not only people want to go see it because of him, but because he's so self-aware of people are going to go see it because of him. The way he does PR leading up to any movie, like Free Guy, he did a couple times, where he'll do something unique, and people are like, "Oh," and so they'll go see it because, hey, I liked him in that thing he did to promote this movie. I'll go see that movie. So I think he could make Green Lantern 2 and probably play it off that way, being like, "Hey guys, I'm in charge this time," and then also make fun of the first movie and people will go see it. Yeah. So
he's just playing up that he is just a real life Deadpool. That's all. That's exactly what he's doing. He's like, yeah, Deadpool is a character that I love, and I'm pretty great at playing, but I am him. I'm just gonna be him in real life, whether you like it or not.
How did the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard movie do? It did all right, didn't it?
No,
it did okay.
It was. I think it did fine. I still haven't watched.
It did fine. It did fine for pandemic standards.
I was gonna say it did fine opening weekend, and I think it dropped out of the top 5 like the next week or the week after.
Yeah.
Total 69.5. Yeah. So it's not.
No one. No, I legit forgot that was a movie this year until you just said it again.
Well, I immediately was like, what else has he been in this year? Because I know he was in something else. He was in that and also like some sort of sci-fi movie, if I remember correctly. And because, you know what? It's exactly what I said. I don't remember what movies he's been in, but I know he's had 3 movies because I've seen him pop up like in ads and stuff like that, promoting stuff. So
Another movie with I'm going to go on to number 3 here because this is an interesting number to me. With *Malignant* 5.57 for opening weekend for this movie
because it wasn't 666.
Right at the beginning of the spooky season, not doing very well. Again, that HBO Max, hey, I can watch it at home for free.
I think that has everything to do with this.
Is definitely leaning into this movie here. As we've seen, pretty much anything that's not a comic book movie that is the HBO Max is really struggling that first weekend. Probably going to fall out of the top 5 next weekend, which for fans of this movie is sad to see, but I think it'll catch on that fan base online.
Oh, how much is it? Once people can go buy it digitally and physically and whatnot, this thing is going to move like gangbusters, I think.
Yeah,
I think once word of mouth of like what movie it is versus what movie it was promoted as, I think people will go see it. Like we were actually, that was before the show, right?
Yeah.
Sam, when you were saying that, like you came out of it with such a high, so did I. I was like, I got to tell people about this movie because I kept like, this is where I'm with this movie. This is where I am. I'm like, is it good? Or was I just so surprised by the way that it went? And I was like, you know what? I enjoyed myself. So it doesn't matter if it's good or not, because I came out of it being like, that was a fun time, especially that last 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this movie's got to be cheap to make, doesn't it?
40 million. I looked it up because I was curious about the whole like James Wan low budget kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, so how low budget did he go? Okay, no, but I think part of it is he's like, Warner Brothers, I made you $1 billion. If you want me to go do it again, you're going to give me all the money I want. Just write me the check, and I'm going to go make this.
Well, and I mean,
this reminds me of in terms of like Cabin Fever, where it was like, you know what? We're just going to make whatever the hell we make, and if it sticks the landing, we made whatever the hell we wanted to make.
It's also like when our director coming up here, Sam Raimi, made Spider-Man, and then he's like, drag me to hell, let me make that movie real quick. And it doesn't really matter. Like, he's just like, yeah, let me do it. And they still let him do stuff, and he's gonna be doing an upcoming Marvel movie, so he's okay. I think James Wan also, like you said, he was like, I made this amount of money for you, and not even counting Conjuring, Insidious,
counting the Conjuring,
so
Insidious, Saw, like all of those.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he's like, every once in a while, I just got to get the weird out. It's got to come out. So
are those under the Warner Brothers?
The Conjuring movies are.
Are they?
Like, I created $1 billion franchise for you, and I made $1 billion with one movie.
Yeah,
I can make my weirdo.
And I'm helming the potentially $1 billion.
Where does Insidious fall? Because Saw is Lionsgate. Where does Insidious fall?
I know Insidious.
Isn't Insidious still like New Line?
I want to say it's
Brothers?
New Line.
Yeah.
Or Line. It's either New Line or Lionsgate. It might be New Line.
I'm pretty sure it's New Line. I think that's a Warner Brothers as well. Yeah, no, I love *Malignant*. I think that this is going to gain a huge cult following, and I really do think, like, in 20 years, this is going to be considered one of the classics of this era.
If anything, people are going to be like, "Hey, sign up for HBO Max for that free trial and watch this movie."
Yeah,
if anything's going to boost those numbers, and then maybe we'll stick around for everything else.
So. The crazy thing about the number for me at $5.5 million is that this movie was marketed as, "Hey, this is the guy who made The Conjuring and Insidious," and all the trailers look like it's a spooky movie with like ghosts. And how do people not go rush out to the theater at this time to go watch that? You're saying that's not the movie you get by the end of it. But the marketing for the movie is like, hey, here's another spooky movie from the Conjuring guy. Go watch it.
You're saying almost that like it should have been big the first weekend and then dropped a lot.
I think it's going to piss a lot of people off who think it is that spooky movie.
Well,
you know what? I started it being like, I like those other movies and being like, I can watch another one of these type of movies, but also was like a little bit like with the Marvel, kind of like a little bit over it. But I was like, James Wan's good. I like him as a director. I'll watch it. And then when you get to that part of the movie, I'm like, okay, well, this is not the movie I thought. It kind of slowly gets there, and then eventually it's just like, oh, let's take off now. So, but it when you get to like midway and you're like, oh, this is not that movie.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it is. And then you want to be like, who made I'm glad they made the ads that way, because then I wasn't expecting that at all. But also, I think maybe that's why people were like, hey, is this Conjuring again, basically, or Insidious? And maybe they didn't go for that. Also, I mean, you mentioned spooky season, Casey. People are doing spooky season September through October now. It used to just be month of October, but everywhere has Halloween stuff out. And Wednesday Comics Podcast, I made a joke. It's already started spooky season. We've been talking about Halloween for the last 3 weeks. And I don't know, though. Maybe people really aren't into being scared right now. So at this time, because they don't even want to go to the theater.
That's why I'm curious what the HBO numbers are. I think the HBO Max numbers are going to be pretty massive if they ever release those. I don't think they will release them. So, number 4, another spooky movie, Candyman, $4.8 million. Probably doing what we would expect this movie to do.
On this day, it's still hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think it again. This one might have been a little early in that the release. I think they could have waited another 2 or 3 weeks to put out Candyman, maybe 2 weeks before Halloween comes out, but it didn't, and here we are now. And I think word of mouth isn't carrying as much, especially with The Malignant this weekend being like the big word of mouth. Oh my God, you have to watch this movie. Unfortunately, no one was saying that after Candyman came out.
They said it for about a day.
I was like, I didn't hear anything. So.
Sam, turn around real quick and say the name of this movie 5 times into that TV.
okay. Candyman, 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 Candyman.
Oh, there goes the feed.
Candyman.
Oh God!
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
If only Tony Todd showed up in here right now, that would be worth it, Sam.
We keep trying to get him to guest, but
yeah, Tony Todd, if you're listening right now, if we summoned you right there, please just come talk normal movies with us.
Right.
You don't have to kill us. You can kill us after, but we want to talk to you first.
Get those timber tones on this podcast. Yeah, that's all you need.
And then another big surprise hit, Jungle Cruise. Maybe not a surprise. It's got Dwayne Johnson and it's a Disney movie, $2.45 million. This movie feels like it's been out for 7 months and it's still in the box office.
I'll say not a surprise to anybody that has been tracking how well his movies do, but probably a realization for everybody because a lot of people were saying this movie's not going to do great before it came out. People thought like it doesn't, it's just, but it's a Disney property. Mm-hmm. It came out with that premiere access, so it gave you both kind of revenue streams. And then you said it's Dwayne Johnson, which I think that guy now. On TNT the other day I saw that Journey 2 was on, and I've seen where he's come from, and now he's doing this, and so like. The man's built enough goodwill that people just go see these movies. Similar to Ryan Reynolds. He's just like, oh, Dwayne Johnson's in a movie. We'll go see it.
Yeah.
And he also
affable guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He went through that Disney rough patch of the mid 2000s, and now Disney's like, we're sorry. We'll give you the big budgets now.
What are you talking about? Tooth Fairy's not great.
It's not great. The game plan might be a little better, but it's not by much.
I was gonna say, what's the football one?
I'm not gonna lie, the game plan actually made me cry when I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, but you were what, 12 when that came out?
No, I was in high school. I can't remember.
Sam. Why?
I don't know. Dwayne Johnson gets me, man. Like, and I cry at everything. So
what's that other football movie he's in?
Gridiron.
Yeah. That movie's
That's actually
great,
a really good movie.
That one's
good.
Oh, I was gonna say, you sure that wasn't the one you cried at, Sam? Because that's supposed to be a drama. The other one's a comedy.
I cried at that one too. Yeah.
Okay.
Father-daughter, father-son stuff, like, even though I'm not a dad and never want to be, for some reason that stuff gets me. Like,
I can say is, if you ever became a father, if you're that sappy now, you're screwed.
Yeah, I know. That's part of why, like, I don't want kids, because I know that I'd only get worse. So
Sam in high school is just crying. I wish Dwayne Johnson was my dad. I don't blame you, Sam. I do too.
Sam would turn into Brendan Fraser from Bedazzled when he wants to be sensitive. So.
I tell you what, I turned my TV on the other day. I'm on my smart TV, and it throws things like it's cycling through the different things that, different services went on. Also, I'm like, why am I seeing a thing for Bedazzled? Like, why? Why do I want to?
Because
why do I feel like
it's a great movie?
Yeah.
I know, but I immediately
wrong
was
with
like,
Bedazzled, Brian?
No, but trust me, I'm sitting there going, I don't want to click on YouTube free movies that it's telling me that I should really do right now.
Don't worry, I saw an ad for Soul Plane the other day with Snoop Dogg for some reason or another. I don't know why my TV wasn't recommending it either. I think these streaming services are like, hey, look, we have one name you might have heard of. Here it is. Watch.
Sam was over that day, and he was huffing and puffing in the living room.
Snoop Dogging in the back.
I was listening to Snoop on your YouTube, Casey.
That's what it was. All right, Brian, let's go to the news. What do we got going on?
Yeah, when I was updating this year, I was like, let's put this one out of the way right away and whatnot, because I don't care. Bob's Burger movie.
This was my personal recommendation.
And I was like, I don't care. Going for a 2022 Memorial Day weekend release, because who cares that Bob Burger is getting a movie?
I care, Brian.
Other than Sam.
Excited. This is now my most anticipated movie of 2022, and I'm not even kidding. I love Bob's Burgers so much. I've probably watched the series over like 3 times. So yeah, I didn't know there was a Bob's Burgers movie being made.
Even I knew that, and I don't watch the show.
So when they announced this on Friday, I was actually hanging out with Casey. We were doing Film Fest stuff for SuperCon, and I like checked my phone and saw the news story, and I was like, oh my God, they're making a Bob's Burgers movie. And he's like, yeah, I know. I was like, I didn't know that. And now it's coming out of Memorial Day. I'm so excited, guys.
This is the 3rd time it's got moved around, though, hasn't it?
Is it?
It's in a movie.
You're talking to the person who didn't know it was coming out up until 2 days ago.
That's because I literally just watch Bob's. Like, I just watch it. I put it on Hulu and I just let it play for hours.
What was the line here, Casey? It went from July to April, and then they moved it back again. I think they moved it up and then back.
I got to tell you, I'm not paying attention to the Bob's Burgers timeline. I don't like this show, and I don't dislike this show. I have never gotten into this show.
Listen, I only know
it's just not for me. I'm like, if I want to watch what's his name, John Benjamin, I'm gonna watch Archer. Like that's the one I'm gonna watch. Where's our Archer movie? That's what I
watch. I watch random Bob's Burgers. I'm not like a person that's watched the whole thing as Sam has 3 times, but I've watched enough to understand that the movie's probably gonna be good. The only reason I know it's been switched around a lot is because we did Comic-Con news this year, which nobody even knew Comic-Con was happening. It was online only, and one of the big things was Bob Burger's movie got moved up, and I think they moved it back, which that was like 2 months ago. So I don't know. They keep playing. I think because so many movies got moved around recently that they were just like, oh, this is open now. Let's move it back there.
Yeah. I'm stoked. And the only other thing I'll say in relation to this news is like, Casey, you're going to love my Halloween costume this year.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
All right. Let's go to a much more exciting piece of news.
Yeah, I'm completely okay with this.
Sorry, Sam.
Halloween Kills still stays with the October 15th release date, but is also going to be streaming it on Peacock the same day. And I'm completely okay with this because then I can just watch it at home.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I got to see that one in the theater, though, I think. I saw the first one, and it was so, like, it's not that scary, like, but I think just being in the theater just amps it up for me, and you get the theme going, and then you're just like, oh, shit.
Garrett, don't act like you weren't freaking out. Yeah,
I was terrified.
I feel how Garrett feels, where I'm like, I want to watch this at home because people annoy the shit out of me in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear that Carpenter score in the theater, I'm like, that's worth the annoying people. So I remember when I watched Halloween 2018 in the theater, and the Carpenter score starts playing at the beginning of that, I started clapping, and I was like, I'm the only one clapping already. I'm gonna stop.
I was like, I'm sitting here going, I'm just gonna turn on my Xbox, turn on my TV, put my headphones on, and listen to that score completely devoid of anybody else's noise and whatnot, and be able just to enjoy that peacefully by myself. And I think that is just something to be able to experience that way.
It will be nice to be like independent, but I feel like I'd be paranoid as shit. Like I'd by myself, like listening to that. I'm like in this theater, I'm like I'm in the middle. There's like 10 people to my left, 10 people to my right.
So if Michael Myers shows up, he's got a few people to go through first.
They look like easy targets, so I'll go that way.
I'm gonna come to the theater and wear because I have to wear a mask. I'm gonna wear a Michael Myers mask, and you're not gonna know.
There you go. Yeah,
y'all didn't specify.
That would be a terrifying theater experience. Everyone's wearing like a Michael Myers mask to go to it.
Can you imagine all those Austin Powers just walking around?
All the crooked teeth.
I want to see somebody show up in a Michael Myers garb with the surgical mask over it.
Oh,
I'll do that for the theater.
I did see that their official reason for putting a day and date as theaters was that they want to test it out because that Boss Baby 2 did so well on the platform that they wanted to try it out with another movie. And then I've also heard rumors.
No one wanted to see Boss Baby 2 in the theater.
You're talking about the possible Best Picture nominee, Boss Baby 2.
Starring the greatest actor ever, Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
And that's what I thought when I read that. I was like, that seems like not the appropriate way to word this, being like, we tried it with Boss Baby 2. Let's try it with Halloween Kills. But also,
because when I think of Boss Baby, I think of Halloween. Because those are two.
Why test something with what your probably biggest franchise is going to come out this year? I think this was announced right after those first reviews came out, and people are actually kind of split on this movie. Either you love it or you don't like it. And so I think they're playing it safe by putting it on Peacock, so they can at least be like, "Hey, it was on Peacock. That's why it didn't do well in theaters." But
the crazy thing is, the bad reviews I've seen have been Michael Myers kills a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's what I saw too.
What were you expecting?
Halloween Kills. What do you
this
expect?
movie's pretty brutal.
It's literally in the title.
I
saw a lot like
that was like in the first paragraph was like, yeah, and like pretty much every it literally called every Halloween movie leading up to this one shite. Like, I'm not kidding. The actual word they used was shite. And I was like, should you be reviewing the new Halloween movie then? Like, I don't care what you think.
Maybe he's
I don't
Irish.
need to read the rest of this. Like, Halloween is my favorite movie of all time, but I'm skipping theaters on this one. It's on Peacock. I'm like, my theater, my apartment complex has like this dope theater room. I'm renting that out October 15th. I'm going to watch it with the surround sound on a fairly big screen, and I'm going to be fine with that, That's
so,
just.
I guess I don't understand Peacocks. Do they have like a premium thing, or it's free? Like you can watch it.
They got 3 tiers, buddy. Free,
three,
pay with ads, or premium. But there might be ads still in the premium. Depends.
Yeah.
I
think Halloween Kills is actually going to be on the $4.99 plan.
Oh.
You might have ads with it. I mean, I would presume, but
is it on the free one?
I don't.
I'm not paying.
It.
I paid for the cock for 2 months, and I'm like, not doing this anymore.
Me too. I literally, after watching this movie, not because of this movie we're watching today, but I had been subscribing to it for a while because I forget why I signed up for it in the first place. But I think they got me on that free trial, and I forgot to cancel it. But after we watched the movie that we're going to talk about today, I was like, I still pay for this, so I canceled it. But going back to the reviews, I did hear that it was too brutal, which confuses me. And then I know this is the second part of their trilogy that they have planned. I saw some reviews also that were like, "Hey, it doesn't really conclude." And it's like, yeah, there's another one coming out. So
which they clearly announced when the first one came out. Like it was literally a trailer of 3 movies. Like
when they came out with it, they're like, by the way, there's going to be Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Like, of course, it's going to not end. Because we still have the end still to come.
It's like if the 2 Towers came out in this day and age, Twitter would be all about like, it doesn't even have a plot. And it's like, well, duh, it's a middle chapter. Like, do you not know how trilogies work? Like, are you stupid or something?
Somebody going to see an Empire being like, what happened?
Yeah.
Took him.
Hey, Luke finally gets to get with Leia.
I'll tell you what happened with Han Solo. He's just gone.
Oh god.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are shite.
Agreed.
Hey,
Alex is alive.
This is actually his opinion, so I'm.
I will admit, Lord of the Rings, whatever. I'd watch that. Star Wars, garbage. Pure garbage.
Why did I ever talk to Alex?
This is why we've got Alex.
You got the coolest nickname from me, at least. So
Alex, we're a family-friendly podcast. We don't promote violence on this show.
Talking about movies.
Well,
too
spoilers.
Bad they're brutal. Like Mike Myers is too brutal.
Oh no! Right?
How many movies of Halloween are there anyway? 20, 30,
There's
40?
A lot. There's
yeah.
There's
so you're now
11,
complaining after 20 movies that it's too violent?
Yeah.
Right.
How many new ways can you kill someone?
I mean, they haven't gone to space yet.
I don't know. Oh my god.
Jason did. Didn't go well for him either.
Jason went to space. But
Jason
if
went to
Halloween
space.
doesn't
Amazing.
end in space, if Halloween Ends doesn't end in space, I'm a riot. Like this
Maybe
better
that's what
have
it
like
means.
the end of Halloween Kills better have Michael on the freaking space shuttle. That's what I'm saying.
That's the plot of that movie. The world is ending.
You know,
Mike Myers already went to space. Didn't you watch Austin Powers?
I kind of have to side with Sam, because if Jason and Fast and the Furious can make it there, why can't Michael Myers?
I mean, Leprechaun made it there in 4 movies. 4 movies is all it took Leprechaun to make that voyage.
And then afterwards, he went to the hood.
Yeah, he did.
An upgrade for sure.
Star Wars only took 1 movie to make it to space. But moving on, what do we got?
Moving on. Going to the Disney house, Owen Wilson and Rosario Dawson joined Disney's Haunted Mansion because call me shocked that somebody from a Marvel property and somebody from a Star Wars property ended up into another Disney property.
When they get in that cycle, they're in all their stuff. Like literally, especially nowadays, it's like
and can you
once
blame them? Are you going to turn down that Disney money?
No, exactly. You're like, where's the paycheck? You know, at some point it's like, okay, I've got Star Wars, I can get into Marvel, I can get into Disney, I can get into where, you know, at which point does someone get into the whole trifecta? You know, like Donald Glover, you know, his hit ever.
Owen Wilson is pretty close.
Kumail's going to be in Eternals, and I think he actually just got announced he's going to be in a Disney movie too. So like he's in that cycle too. Like once you get in, you're in. You know what surprised me about this news is that these two aren't. Like I don't know. He really didn't say, but these two were just announced. Like they aren't the first 2 that were announced. So the other 2 are the leads, right?
No, Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish and Lakeith Stanfield.
But they're the leads, right?
Yes.
So these guys are just going to be.
Yeah, these are supporting. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe these are like you know what I think about this movie? It's like I thought
these are the crazy neighbors.
Yeah, or they're like the couple like that you see in all the flashbacks of like why it's haunted in the first place kind of thing.
Like Owen Wilson just walking around the haunted. Yeah. Wow, I just can't believe everything's just so haunted. Wow.
You know, he was walking through a dark hallway and all of a sudden you just hear wow.
You know, if they were going to do that, then all they would have had to have done was just rehash his footage from The Haunting.
Mm-hmm. Or
he's already been in a haunted house.
One of the 2.
But it's a Disney movie, so just don't show the part where he gets decapitated by the fireplace.
Maybe we'll get a sword fight.
Seen the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion? A guy gets dragged into hell. I think they can show a decapitation or 2.
That's
that movie scared the shit out of me when it came out.
Again, you were like 12.
That one, yes, I was.
I just don't know how they can make it. Like, obviously they'll find a way, but like, how can you make it any more different than the Eddie Murphy one? Like, what else could you show us in the Haunted Mansion for like a scary movie for kids? Like the basis of that movie is pretty.
I guess to kind of reword what you're saying is that like, what's the point of taking it in the same kind of tone as that movie when Guillermo del Toro was working on a movie, Haunted Mansion, for them, and they were like, "Oh, buddy, no." And then now they're like, let's go back to being comedy about this again.
Guillermo del Toro, you're a little too dark for us.
They just need to get Rob Zombie in on this Haunted Mansion.
Oh.
He's too busy with the monsters, Sam. Let him focus on that.
Well, then maybe they just need to push the Haunted Mansion until he becomes available.
We're getting Disney's X-rated content.
Haunted Mansion though Haunted Mansion has picked up steam with like its marketing in terms of the brand Haunted Mansion though. Like you walk into any Halloween store now, or even like Walmart, they have Haunted Mansion merchandise. I'm like, has it really become that popular with?
And there's a Muppets people? Haunted Mansion coming out.
Yeah.
In October.
There's a whole section for it at Spirit Halloween and everything. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think one of the other reasons why I think they're trying to revisit this, and this isn't to necessarily take away from the Eddie Murphy kind of thing, but especially because of the latter half of like the Marvel movies and the resurgence of like Star Wars and stuff like that, Disney's positioned themselves in like in a wholly like different way that's really starting to pull like some of these really like some of these people they wouldn't have necessarily got into their universe 10, 20 years ago. You know, then now you're to the point where someone is like, I want to be in this. You know, it's almost to the point where all these actors and everything like that are knocking on their door, going, "Where do I get in on this Disney money?"
Yeah,
to be fair, I think Owen Wilson would have taken that Disney money like at least a decade ago.
Like, he did. It was called Cars, and it was horrible.
Oh,
agree to disagree.
3 times.
Agree to disagree.
Second and third, I could see. First one, I liked. I like first.
But I mean, you get things like, like at some point here, I'm just waiting for the day when we hear that Feige finally got his dream actor and get Keanu Reeves into the MCU. Like there are those ones where it's like now to the point where they're finally to that point where they're like, we can start cherry picking the people that we want, and they will want to be in our stuff.
You guys done the
I've
show
always
since
wanted
that trailer
someone
came out?
with the range of a piece of cardboard to be in a Marvel movie, so I'm okay with that.
Sam, have you seen The Lake House?
He's like, no.
Yes.
Have you seen Speed?
I have.
Wait a minute.
I actually love Speed. I actually love a lot of Keanu movies, but like, let's face it, the guy cannot act.
How is it that you've seen The Lake House, but you have not seen Darkman, upon which we will be talking about up until a few days ago?
I don't know. I have weird movie watching habits, Brian.
Because the man cried at Gridiron Gang and then went to Lake House.
Because there's certain
game plan.
There's certain things about Darkman that make me go, you should have seen this movie eons ago, to the point where I'm like, it blew my mind that out of the three of us on our end here, that I was the only one who'd seen it. I realized, yes, I'm the old man of the group, so that probably helps.
Hey,
but
same thing over here, Brian. I was like, how? Because it came up on our show without knowing that we're going to review it like a month ago. So that's why when I saw on the list, I go, it's got to be Darkman, because I mentioned on the show we played a game where I played movie clips and they had to guess what movie they're from. We're doing the it was like superhero, but basically what you get, superhero, but not like an actual superhero stuff that could have been made into comics. And both these guys were like, "Oh, I've never seen that before." And I was like, "How have you even not seen Darkman?" Not because it's like some sort of, it is a cult classic, but it's not one that a lot of people mention firsthand when you say
it's a masterpiece.
But
hey, guess
like
what movie? Guess what movie we have all seen? Darkman.
Yes, finally.
Let's jump into it since we're already discussing it. This is the main topic of this week. Darkman from 1990.
Yeah, I decided to give you your segue.
There you go.
Yes, me and Paul Blart both appreciate that segue. I'm going to use a Paul Blart joke every time we mention segue on this show. I don't care.
Segue.
All right, so Darkman, yes, a movie that 4 out of the 6 of us had not seen until we had prepped for this podcast. Which, again, I'll agree that it is like, why had we not seen this movie? Because, after watching this movie, Sam mentioned it there under his breath that this is a masterpiece. This movie's a masterpiece. Like, I loved this movie. So, Darkman, we're jumping into non-comic book superhero movie territory here, and I think maybe we should touch on the history of this movie a little bit, why this movie was made, why it's not based on a superhero as well, because this movie came out in 1990, 1 year after that Batman movie that Tim Burton made and made a shitload of money. So Sam Raimi and crew were like, let's make our kind of version of this pulpy 1930s 40s superhero, but we don't have the rights to any. Let's just make our own. And we'll take elements from like Batman and the Spirits and the Shadow, and then
Universal monster movies. Let's take my weird, zaniness from Evil Dead 2 and throw it into this movie. And that's how we get Liam Neeson in Darkman. Speaking of people who can't act, Liam Neeson can act. He can't pull off an American accent, though.
I was literally coming to this podcast, and the first question I was going to ask is he supposed to have an American accent or his natural accent in this movie? I couldn't tell.
I don't think he knows.
He is trying. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He is trying.
In my head, I made a canon
I think it was perfect.
in my head, I made it being like, okay, so when he's trying to be normal, he's trying to do an American accent, but when he goes Darkman angry, then it's full just Liam Neeson. Like you can't hide it.
So the biggest reason why I was kind of in shock and awe that those two, specifically Casey, having not seen this, was because it's Raimi, and as much as he likes to talk about his Evil Dead,
my favorite director ever.
Yeah. Because we have somebody like Liam Neeson in it. We have Frances McDormand in there, two people that he's, whatnot. And
I
then
didn't
also
even recognize in this movie at first. I was like, holy crap.
For which one?
For Frances McDormand.
Yeah. Or the fact
different.
And she's not playing a character you would expect her to play.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that this was scored by Danny Elfman. Like there's like these 4 things I'm sitting there going, how are these two not have seen this movie? Which I do want to point out because I got curious because I when I saw it was 1990, I was like, okay, this was right after Danny Elfman did Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Danny Elfman
definitely
did
elements of his Batman score in this.
Oh
one,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Well,
His
and I
face just
Slightly
burnt.
derivative of himself.
And definitely early Spider-Man. Like you can hear how how you went
Yeah.
into Spider-Man after this.
Oh yeah.
well,
There's a lot of Spider-Man in this movie.
Yeah.
I pulled it up, and what blew my mind, I was like, okay, so this was the year after Batman or whatnot. Danny Elfman had an amazing 1990, it looked like here, because he released Darkman, Dick Tracy, Edward Scissorhands, and Nightbreed.
Damn.
So I'm like, you're talking about completely like
That's a solid lineup.
Mm-hmm.
right, and nothing like not. I mean, there's some overlap, but for the most part, you're talking about 4 totally different things there.
I'm sure he was ready to go to a beach after all that darkness, just like, and he's just like, all right, I need a break from this.
No, he didn't do anything until 1992, so you're probably right.
Yeah,
he's like, I know I was like the goth new wave guy for so long, but like, can we just take a break, please?
Yeah. You haven't got any happy movies out there.
Dick Tracy wasn't happy enough for me.
Nobody was happy after Dick Tracy. So.
Dick Tracy is an American classic.
I've never seen it, but the 3
I'd
out of
say,
the 4.
so far, all these other movies you guys just talked about, I haven't seen them. So outside of Batman,
I picked this up at the library when I was a kid, and I put it back because I looked in the back and I saw like the burnt face. I'm like, whoa, this is like rated R. Like I can't go there yet. So like when you could get like 10 DVDs or 10 VHSs at the library, it would always get to my stack, and then I'd be like, oh, that's too much. I'm too young for this. So.
That's very mature of you, Garrett. I would have assumed you'd be like, yeah, rated R. Give me this shit.
It could also be my mom said, no, you can't rent that. But
okay, that makes more sense.
Back in my day, renting the VHS tapes, the clerk was like, "Oh, you want to rent that? You're like 12. Who cares?"
I was gonna say I always took my dad's library card, so then if they asked, like, "This is for my dad. He's gonna watch it."
Oh my god! You guys had rated R movies at your library. My library was run by Puritans. There was no movies above PG-13 except for, and I kid you not, Passion of the Christ.
I want to know what weird people,
that torture porn movie.
Yeah,
what you weird people were renting from the library.
They were pretty like
us normal humans went to a video store.
It's really easy. I was renting PG-13 horror flicks like Stay Alive and the remake of Prom Night.
Oh god.
And every J horror remake I could get my hands on, even though I hated all of them. I just needed horror, Brian, and that was the only thing that was available to me.
Brian, you mentioned that your reasoning for being surprised that they haven't seen it. On this side of things, Alex, I didn't expect him to see it, obviously. I think this guy's seen 5 movies in his life.
Does Alec watch movies?
But Garrett, as I mentioned on our podcast, I was like, this is basically the movie that they saw and were like, when they were looking for directors for Spider-Man, and we're like, yeah, he could do it. Like, let's do And he was like, hey, I want to make it like this, but let's make it a little bit, not so dark as this movie, but make it more Spider-Man. But everything in this movie, and a budget, everything in this movie, we talked about the score already, but like how it's shot and how some things are kind of played for campiness versus being actually serious. As you mentioned, Casey, the Evil Dead kind of to silliness. Like there's a scene in here. Are we doing spoilers?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. This many years later.
Yeah. Please stop here if you don't want to
31 years.
How many people on this podcast right now were not alive when this movie came out?
I think everybody's ever been.
Garrett would have been 2 years shy.
That's right.
But there's a scene at the helicopter scene at the end. By the way, a lot of helicopters in this movie. At the end, the helicopter scene when he's hanging from the hook and he like does that kind of run on top of the semi. I was like, right there was like, that's his silliness with like Evil Dead 2 and like Spider-Man. There's some stuff in that. And I think that
like smashing through the window in the office building.
Or like when he gets after the explosion, which we need to talk about that scene because that's freaking ridiculous and I love it.
You don't think somebody would fly that high?
They might have in this universe.
CGI just like swimming in the air backwards.
And Liam Neeson's scream when he's flying is hilarious. But when he finds his jacket in the alleyway and it's raining, I'm like, that's just a shot from Spider-Man 2 right there. Like he legit stole his own shot for that movie.
Is it really stealing when it's your own shot?
More recycling.
I know
Exactly.
If it is, Danny Elfman needs to be locked up for his score for this movie.
He literally was like, "Hey, Danny, you want to come and do that score for Spider-Man?" He's like, "Can I just do Darkman again?" People probably haven't seen it.
Can I just do this again?
Yeah. That shot that you're talking about, Casey, that scene, a lot of water, which is also like his other alley scene, a lot of water. So the guy likes dark alleys with a storm going through them. So,
Yep.
I was just missing an upside down kiss in this one.
Instead, we have an upside down box that he sleeps under, and it gets pushed away, and he just suffers on the floor. Like,
I'm actually glad there was no kiss in this movie. Like, I think I was like, hey, I think we're good here.
You don't want to kiss with those teeth?
I want to see an open mouth kiss with Darkman debanded.
Those teeth.
That is the new definition of an open mouth kiss.
Oh God.
I want to see all of it.
This movie is like
I wanted it to be. I wanted Tropic Thunder to have an alternate take where it's MTV's Best Kiss winner, Liam Neeson.
This movie is like the perfect example of what we were just talking about before with Malignant. Is that a movie where you're like, well, it's not technically like if somebody said, "Hey, is that a good story?" Like, I don't know, but it's fantastic to watch. Like, I'm entertained throughout the whole thing. There's a lot of good shots. Like, if you're really a person who notices how things are shot, like it's definitely very Sam Raimi. It's definitely very Evil Dead.
It's very cinematic,
Very campy.
A lot of soft backgrounds, hard focus on the close-ups, and a lot of Dutch angles in this movie, which is Sam Raimi 100%. And I even to the point where I was like, is that the cemetery that's in Spider-Man? Like, it's literally, there's a lot of things from this movie where you're like, basically it's his audition tape for Spider-Man. But if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, so I don't have to see it because I've seen Spider-Man, this is definitely that, but weird. Like, if you want to see a movie that's going to be more entertaining in the sense of like, it'll leave you being like, there's so much I got to talk about in this movie. But not only does this guy get blown up and fly out of a building rather than just engulfed into flame, but also some sadistic doctors take this guy in to save his life, and they go, you know what?
Stab him.
Instead of trying to heal this guy, how about I just make it so he can't feel pain?
Okay, so his origin is super confusing in this movie. So when the bad guys show up and destroy his laboratory, he ends up getting electrocuted and his head dumped into a vat of acid. And then blows up.
That's hooked up to the electric things that he like electrocuted himself on.
He blows up, ends up at the hospital, like you said, Marvin. The sadistic doctors sever all of his nerve endings so he can't feel pain. I'm like, what is this superpowers? What's the origin of them? How do they happen? Is it because of the sadistic doctors?
It is because of the severed nerve. I wrote notes here. Because of the severed nerve in the back of his head, he can't feel pain. And so his brain goes crazy, which leads to the loneliness, the sadness, and the anger, which we see all three in this movie.
And it talks about the heightened strength.
Yes,
because basically he can't feel here, so his senses for other things are heightened because of it.
And he's strong because his body doesn't know whether or not it should feel pain or not, so it just has adrenaline pumping everything, which I think would kill you, but in this movie it just makes him strong. So
Cranks.
You know what? If you didn't die when you got thrown in the acid, burnt to hell, electrocuted, and thrown out the window and drowned, nothing else is going to kill you. His name should have been Rasputin.
Yeah.
The only thing left to do is cut his balls off.
I like how she explains that, and it's like, good thing he's not going to get out of this contraption. Like literally 2 seconds later, like,
well, not only that,
Garrett,
she explains that in front of a group of university students and said, "This guy can't feel shit. Watch this," and stabs them. And you're like, "What the fuck?"
Why are they all hanging like they're in a torture device too?
That's what I'm saying.
I said, why did his thing have to keep turning him around in circles? He's already supposed to be unconscious and strapped down. You probably didn't need to turn it.
You're like, this is so he can't get out. This is so he can't get out. It's not like we can strap him to a bed. No, he's going to be going around.
I had to rewind the part with the doctors because I'm like, wait, how did he get what's happening? Like, I rewound it. I'm like, did I miss something? I did not miss anything. It was just, oh, okay, this is what we're doing.
You know, it's been a little bit since I've seen this. So, like, when I was watching that scene and they said it was a hospital and they were trying to save him and he had all those burns, I was like, oh, I remember this as like some scientists that got him and like we're experimenting on him. But no, it's supposed to be people trying to save his life. And no, they don't. I mean, they do.
He's not dead. He's not dead. So
well, they save his body, kind of, and then
we find out
what real life
the
does
hospital's been shut down.
They don't even say they cut his nerve not because too much pain would make him like go crazy and die, but so he wouldn't just keep screaming or something like that. They're like, he would scream forever if he.
They also say this is what they do to homeless people in this town too.
Oh yeah,
like we just grab homeless people off the streets, and it's like we're just going to test them and see if this shit works out.
They're like 1 to 3 a week walk in here, so we do this.
Future sequel Darkman, just whole army of.
What do you mean future sequel? There's 3 of these.
No, I know, but I meant just with that aspect.
Return of the Darkman.
When we get done talking about this movie, if you guys looked up what's going on in those sequels, holy shit, does it get insane. But like Emotep replaces Liam Neeson as Darkman. I was like, what? And the Doctor comes back in the third one, I guess.
Something that, talking about how this came out after Batman, and Darkman, obviously, and they talk about a lot about how that skin really can't last that long in the sunlight. The dude does go out in sunlight the whole time. I don't think once he went out in the dark with that stuff on so it'll last longer than 99 minutes. But it's truly hilarious when he always, I say about 90% of the time, always runs over the time and has to run away. So
I did like that aspect of the movie, though. I think that was pretty cool.
Skin part, I just love that. The body horror in this was really cool. Like, it's good to see Raimi play around with this, because you see a little bit of it.
I got a little bit of a bigger budget.
You see a little bit of it with like the prickles on his fingers and everything like that. But like this one really goes into the body horror aspect of like what would it actually be like to like all of a sudden have these like abilities. And I dig stuff like that. That's the best part of Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. And that's like literally the only part of it. Is that one scene where they're all like, what's happening to us? And then the movie just drives off a cliff.
It literally drives off a cliff. It forgets that it's a movie halfway through.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's a podcast for a different time. We have, but like when like speaking of more Spider-Man stuff, like the spider sense of the Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man is kind of explored a little bit here. Of the GIF that Marvin you sent to us right before we started recording of like the camera zooming in on Liam Neeson and kind of looks like Creepshow behind him and goes through all his pain and anger and everything like that.
That's his anger sense, yeah. That's his.
Give me the panda. Give me the.
That was Raimi spending all those dollars that they gave him.
It's not a panda. It's a pink elephant.
Pink elephant.
Take a fucking elephant.
Darkman today, it wouldn't be his Darkman sense. It would be his Liam tingle.
So
you, John Watts.
They mentioned specifically that he's gonna have no control over his anger, his loneliness, and sadness. He's gonna feel extreme sadness and extreme loneliness. So even though there are scenes like that where he gets angry, especially people calling him a freak, later there are scenes with him like when he's in the warehouse alone where he's just crying and because he's like so sad. And it sounds weird to say this, but if you've seen the movie, I couldn't stop laughing because it's just like this guy just keeps going from anger to extreme sadness. He's just crying, and the only person seeing him is that cat, which that cat liked him 1% of the time. And
the cat is the best part of the movie.
You're out in a bang.
He's my favorite character.
Can we cut Sam off?
And I just found it funny that they were like, you know what? His superpower is that he's really strong and he gets angry, kind of like the Hulk, but also he cries a lot. So let's do that.
Because I want to know how this pitch meeting went. Hey, I made these movies called The Evil Dead. I want to make a superhero movie. Here's my idea. Oh yeah, here's some money. Go for it.
That's literally probably how it happened. They saw how much money Batman made. He goes, I want to make a superhero movie. They're like, all right, go ahead. And then this came out, and they're like, "Whoa, buddy!"
Yeah, but they made 2 more movies after, so it must have been okay.
And then 10 years
are going direct to release.
10 years from now, Sony's like, "All right, sure, we'll give you the biggest superhero in the world at this time."
I think the next 2 were direct to VHS. Yeah. They weren't like theater. And I think by the time I got to Spider-Man, people like loved this movie so much from finding it and libraries and video rental stores. Definitely the person at Sony probably was old enough that they were a fan of this movie. They're like, yeah, let's get Sam Raimi. Mm-hmm. But I was watching this movie, and you have Liam Neeson. This is pre-Schindler's List, so pre-Oscar winning Liam Neeson. You have Frances McDormand. That's pre-Fargo, way pre-Fargo. Mm-hmm. You have Sam Raimi before he became he was a big person if you knew Evil Dead at the time, but not really beyond that. Does he go on and make? Here's what I don't know. I was going to ask: does he go on and make Army of Darkness, or does he go on and make Simple Plan? What's the next movie in this list?
Army of Darkness is 93.
93, I think.
So he made this,
I think there's something in between there.
So let's say though he made this movie and was not derailed whatsoever. He was like, Army of Darkness, let's go crazy again, which is great because you want to see somebody like that. My question is, because we know Sam's doing the next Doctor Strange movie. Mm-hmm. Do we get any of this craziness in that movie?
Absolutely, and I hope so. And I hope that's the reason why they brought him on board. Because when you're talking about the multiverse of madness and whatnot, like you think of anybody who is an odd horror-esque type of director that could pull off a Disney movie, I think it would be Raimi.
And who also loves Doctor Strange because he threw in the name in Spider-Man 2. Like you can tell he's a fan. What was between it, Sam?
So Army of Darkness actually came out in 92. We were a year off. Then in 95, he did a movie called The Quick and the Dead. And then it wasn't until... I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check it out. And then it wasn't until 98 that he did A Simple Plan.
Oh, okay. So there was nothing between this and Army of Darkness, though, right? It was just
No, it was this and then Army.
You know what? Actually, as somebody
because after this, he's probably like, I need a break.
Right. Well, I mean, Army of Darkness and The Quick and the Dead are actually very kind of almost like this movie style-wise. And so, like, once again, I'm glad to hear that he made this movie. Mm-hmm. And even though it probably didn't do well at the time, maybe it did. I don't know. 1990. Who knows what else came out?
Hey, 2 direct-to-video sequels is nothing to scoff at.
But he was not deterred whatsoever. He's like, you know what? Keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing my stuff. And I got him a blockbuster movie. So
yeah.
Well, two if you count Oz the Great and Powerful.
That was him. That was Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. Yeah. Ooh. There's so many Sam Raimi-isms besides like the style in this movie. Like you throw in obviously Ted Raimi is in this movie. I forget the actor's name, but he plays the one of the characters in Evil Dead 2. He's one of the henchmen in this movie. And then even
Bruce
like
Campbell at the
and then
Bruce Campbell at the very end,
of course, who apparently he pitched to the studio to play Darkman, and they're like, no one knows who Bruce Campbell is. We're not going to have him.
He would have been Darkman for all 3 movies if it was Bruce Campbell.
Let's get a recognizable actor to put him behind bandages.
Yep, exactly, right?
And really, was Liam Neeson that big in 1990? I mean,
I don't think he was, but I'm also thinking like if you look at his face, like if there's one thing that is for Bruce Campbell that is very prominent is that chin, and they're gonna have to make him look like his face is burned off. You're not gonna be able to hide that chin.
Yeah.
So you just have a burned big chin. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You guys did bring up how big like Liam Neeson was like acting wise, but I was like, you guys remember in the beginning of that movie when he's like kneeling on the taxi and he's like on his knees because he's like 7 foot tall, like trying to talk to Frances McDormand in that back window.
No, I'm glad you brought up that scene because I was very confused when he's like, let's get married. I'm tired of lying to my grandma every time you answer the phone. It's like, just tell your grandma you're dating her. What's going on here? Like,
you guys are at least early to mid 30s. Yeah. You can tell your grandma you're living together.
They said at the hospital scene between 30 to 35, John Doe. So he's between 30 and 35. And he's like, my grandma can't know that you stay over at night. He's like,
well, that's the thing. And it's not even it's like one of those things where it's like grandma's this, church going lady and she opposes the fact that they live together, which obviously we know they don't. And be like, I agree. It's like, just tell grandma, hey, there's a girl. Hey, you know what? I'm an adult now, grandma.
Grandma, I'm going steady with Frances McDormand.
Grandma, I live in my laboratory. Why do you care?
The whole hour 35 minutes of this movie, that's the weird thing, was that the whole scene. I was like, what, your grandma? Like
it's like in the Tom Cruise Mummy where like Tom Cruise is clearly like almost 60 and he's playing like a 20 something.
Sam, the man has versatility and he has range. Tom can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. He can play a really cocky over the top 50-year-old, and he can play a really cocky over the top 27-year-old.
Hey, I'm surprised they didn't get Tom Cruise for Dear Evan Hansen. So,
oh jeez.
Yeah, he could be in high school.
Not to get
Actually, he'd be a more believable high school kid than the guy they had.
Not to get completely off topic, but I saw something here the other day, and I didn't, or either yesterday I think it was, and I don't know if this was satire or what, but it said in certain limited markets they were going to go in and de-age him for Dear Evan Hansen because of the crap they've been given about him not looking his age.
I'm still waiting for the Brian spinoff of Dear Evan Peters. I just want that movie to happen.
I fucked up. Give me a break.
I would much rather watch the Dear Evan Peters movie than
I don't even know who that is.
The only thing they really need to do is they need to put a little makeup around his crow's feet, and they need to give his hair, put some implants in on his forehead so that he doesn't have the hairline of a 50-year-old.
Right.
I looked it up. The guy's 28, but I'm sorry, man. Your hairline's receding. You cannot pull off high school anymore.
Yeah, and going back to Darkman, I don't think Liam was between 30 and 35 in this movie.
Thanks for keeping me on track.
He does seem like he's probably mid-40s in this movie, and he's he's going to play somebody.
To be fair, I don't know if Liam Neeson looks anything other than just who he is. He doesn't look young. He doesn't look old. He just looks like Liam Neeson.
No, but
this one they did a good job on his makeup. That's all he needed.
He's kind of like Steve Martin in that way. He's always been that age, whatever age that is. It's that age.
I was telling my girlfriend
he just finally got to
it.
that point where he stopped aging.
I was telling my girlfriend about it. I'm like, yeah, it's from 1990. It stars Liam Neeson. She's like, oh, young Liam Neeson. I'm like, no.
No.
Mid-30s.
Still old man Neeson. Just
I mean, he's playing mid-30s, so we got to age him at least 10 years. He's probably actually. It surprises me with the success of Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand, Sam Raimi that we never got another Sam Raimi Darkman movie. You don't think that he would have come back and
trust me, Sam Raimi will produce a Darkman movie that is literally just called Darkman,
directed by Fede Alvarez,
and it's going to be a direct sequel. It's going to be a direct sequel to the first Darkman. It's going to ignore Darkman 2 and 3 because that's just the trend now.
Yeah, and I know.
It's going to be called Darkman because SEO, who cares about it anymore, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. They would just ignore those other two. And Liam Neeson definitely does not care what movie he's in anymore. So he definitely would join on board. Frances McDormand, that's a harder get at this point. But
I can't believe I was so shocked by that role for her because I've seen her in so much better roles that I was just like, wow, this is versatility.
Well, like Marvin said,
an Oscar, right?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say this is pre-Fargo. This is her going, ooh, it's a job.
Right.
This is her boyfriend saying, "Hey, my buddy Sam Raimi's making a movie. Can you please be in it?"
Yeah, because that is kind of how she came across it. Isn't it Raimi and one of the Coens?
Raimi and the Coens are tight, and that's who she was dating. Ethan, I think. I don't know. One of the two.
Joel or Ethan. One of the Coens.
It's one of the two.
We have a 50-50 shot.
I'm gonna go with Joel.
It's like that. It's like that scene in The Office where they give Dwight the pictures and they go, "It's the same picture." Try and spot the differences.
Or maybe that other Coen that made the Garfield movie. One of those.
Yeah, the one that tricked Bill Murray.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the opening of this movie because this opening, it starts off just batshit insane already. We get this kind of mafia standoff in this dock warehouse, and all of a sudden this guy who has a prosthetic leg, hey, guess what? It's a gun. You see those giant crates over there? There's cars in there. They're going to explode out of them and drive off. I'm like, who was in these cars? Who was hiding in these crates to get into them? How did they pick
plan that they had?
How did they pick up enough speed to break through there?
You know what? Drive-by in the warehouse. They go, don't put
our warehouse.
No snipers or anything like that. You're in the crates, and when I say get them, you pop out and you.
This guy might have a gun for a prosthetic leg. I don't know. Just in case it does, or you guys are going to hide out in these crates.
And
I would just like to point out that
if him hopping after the guy takes his leg and he's hopping up, but he's trying to do it menacingly.
You can't tell me that in any real world scenario, if you were part of some sort of underground thing like what this is to depict, and you were missing a leg and had a prosthetic leg, You know that thing was going to be some sort of weapon of choice.
The best part is when they show up to Liam Neeson's laboratory, he's still toting that prosthetic leg gun. It's like, give the guy his leg back. He can barely walk. Why do you need that gun? Just take a normal gun. That wasn't even
supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, we came there knowing you were going to kill him.
We don't know that he didn't give the leg back. They walked there, and then he's like, oh, I need the leg back.
It's like, bring your own gun then. Don't take this guy's leg.
Did anybody check the toy line? I mean, was there a toy line for this movie?
It's very actually Dick Tracy-esque. That's what I was thinking.
There has to be a Darkman action figure out there.
Yeah, or at least Machine Gun Leg Man, like the evil henchman, you know.
The one thing I noticed, it's when they had all the thugs from Durant's team had to empty out their pockets. There was at least like 2 or 3 pairs of nunchucks. So that told me.
90s, Alex.
I was gonna say that obviously TMNT was getting popular. They had their first movie in the 90s. They went over to Mikey and asked for some chucks, and then they got thrown on the ground. That's why Mikey doesn't have them in Secret of the Ooze.
Same year, I believe, is the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes.
1990?
That's my favorite fan theory ever.
When I go any kind of meet like that, Alex, and I think they might be jumping me, I bring my nunchucks.
Honestly, to be fair, I was just jealous because that's what I want to be. I want to be that dude that doesn't need a revolver. I just brought my chucks. Can't fight well, to be fair, the guys doing the drive-bys with their Uzis couldn't shoot shit.
Yep.
And but I did tell Marvin, I didn't mean to send it to him. I'm watching Durant last night, sniping these people off with his revolver. He had some Roger Murtaugh going on, telling everybody that their immunity is revoked. Bam, headshot. Bam, headshot. It's fantastic.
Well, that's what happens when you're not in a car going 70 miles per hour for some reason in a warehouse. You can shoot if you're not moving.
Right?
He just took a sweet time. Goes, there he is. Bam.
All I'm saying now is don't blame these guys. They pop out of a crate at Mach speed. And they're trying to shoot a target with an Uzi.
Their eyes are still adjusting.
They lived in that box for 3 days just in case.
They're just doing the spray and pray, man. Like
half of them.
I'm weak. I haven't had any food.
Half of them couldn't even decide if it was a gunfight or a nunchuck fight. We got to give these guys some credit here.
At least they brought the gun.
When the fight broke out, some guy ran back to that table to get his nunchucks.
Yeah.
They're playing like I play first-person shooters. They're just hitting the trigger and hoping they hit something.
I was gonna say that. What was I gonna say? So if they ever were to make like a remake or some sort of direct sequel to this movie, Liam Neeson definitely would come back. And Frances, I don't know if we can get her to come back. Probably not. Well, actually, since you mentioned they're friends, they're still together, right? The Coen brother and her.
Yeah, they're married now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Coens themselves are not together anymore, but her and Ethan or Joel are.
Or maybe she's with one of the Garfield writers. We don't know.
That I think if any time's the time to bring this movie back, it's today. There's so many streaming services that would be like, they're just looking for content. They don't really care at this point anymore.
This would be a great straight to Peacock.
I was going to say, I'll take a 10-part Darkman series.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I would love to see this as a series.
You think Peacock was like, yes, good thing we put Darkman on there. We got like 6 people to watch it this weekend.
I actually watched it on Hulu or Prime. So
you rented it on Prime when it was free on Peacock?
Yeah, but I'd have to pay for Peacock down the line because I would have forgotten, like Marvin, to get rid of it.
Peacock is free
old man Alex.
And there must have been some kind of glitch when I hit play because I didn't get any ads in mine whatsoever.
Oh, really?
I thought, I didn't get ads in the second half. Yeah, I got the second half blank of ads.
You guys are over here complaining about what you'd have to pay for. Like, I dropped my $5 to go buy this digitally. Like, this is a movie that I watch routinely to the point where, like, I've probably watched it enough times that I made up for the fact that these two had never seen it before. This Blu-ray is getting in my cart very soon.
Yeah,
this
needs to be on my shelf.
Darkman is one of those ones where at least once a year, the reason why this probably hadn't been watched prior to now is because I've been focusing on all these new releases. If I'd been doing rewatches since January, you bet this would have been rewatched months ago.
This is a movie that the last time I saw this movie was DVD. And so the quality was like, okay. So watching it now and actually HD, I was like, this movie looks great too. Like, it doesn't look 1990s is surprising to me because I mean, it does play like an 80s kind of campy movie, but it looks fantastic. Like there are movies in 1990 that came out that don't look this great. So
I mean,
So
other
you watched
than a
clip
few,
art explosion in high definition.
yes, and it's amazing. You know, there
My
are
favorite shot is when he's hanging out of the helicopter and it's like the explosion underneath him, and it's so clearly just pixelated clip art that they put into the movie.
It's actually really charming though. Like
It
it's
really
like
is.
Sam Raimi didn't have enough money, but he still wanted to make. He's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Whatever it looks like, it looks like.
that is one of those things that, you know, for me, you know, so there are certain aspects of like the CGI that don't hold up, but I also take into consideration this was 1990. You know, this was basically like very early like green screen and stuff like that. You know, I mean, when you can clearly see, because obviously if you're watching on DVD, you probably didn't notice whatever, but like I'm watching it on my 4K TV and whatnot, and like even when Durant and the business guy are in the office, there is one scene where it's clearly green screen and you can see the outline around their bodies and whatnot. Like there are certain parts of it that don't hold up, but that for me is what is one of the charming things about this movie, because I know how campy it looks, because it is that, you know, I pulled it up to find out how much what it was for the $15 million budget that it was, you know, and competing up against movies like Batman that have budgets that are 3 times that, you know.
Yeah.
I think it pulls off beautifully, campiness and all, even if some of it doesn't age well.
I will say though, if you look at other movies around that time, even the Batman that you mentioned, there are still scenes that look like that. So I mean, it's like that's the technology back then.
It's part of the charm of those movies. You
I was
know,
gonna say, like,
how about Superman 78? You know, when you can barely see the bottom of his chest, whatever, because he's basically laying on a green box. You know, because they don't know how to be able to lift people up at the time.
You look at like Batman 89, where the Joker falls off the tower, and it's like it's literally just almost a still image of him, just that they shrink down.
Yep.
And it doesn't work, but it's fun. Like, I don't know, you know, like
it's because he danced with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adjusting for inflation, 15 million is now 29 million. So this is like you know.
So it still costs less than Malignant.
Yeah, it does. And they probably, with today's technology, could make it very similarly. So.
Speaking of Malignant, I kind of want to see if they did a theatrical remake of this. I want to see James Wan doing Darkman.
Ooh.
If they couldn't get Liam Neeson, who do you think would be a good Darkman in a reboot?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh God,
no.
Carl Urban.
No.
Oh, Carl Urban would be a good choice.
Wow. He's got the trench coat look down from The Boys, so you just add a couple bandages and you're in.
Make sure
that you keep it rated R, because he's gonna be dropping a lot of C words a lot.
Well, I wasn't even thinking The Boys. My brain, when you said Carl Urban, I immediately went to Dredd.
Dredd.
Dredd. Yeah, I mean,
somebody who knows how to be able to make a performance with very little facial, you know, to begin with.
There's one reason that Carl Urban wouldn't work, is because he actually can change his accent. So we got to go with Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Oh boy, you might as well just bring Liam Neeson back then.
You have to get Kevin Costner, but he has to have an Irish accent.
That's what I'm saying. They'd be like, no, in this version he is Irish. And they'd be like, oh, okay.
I was gonna say let's get Keanu Reeves to try to do that Dracula British accent again.
Hey,
I was gonna say, like,
would not be a bad choice for Darkman. So
it's funny that you picked someone from The Boys, because the person that I kind of had in mind, Jensen Ackles.
Want Jack Quaid?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jensen Ackles would be a really good Darkman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like Jensen Ackles. I think he's highly underrated. And now that Supernatural's closed up, I mean, he's in The Boys now, but like his schedule's got to be opened up a little bit. Get him in a Darkman miniseries.
I was going to say, is that Walker Texas Ranger, or is that the other one?
No, Jared Padalecki is Walker.
Yeah.
Who's Jensen playing The Boys?
Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
He's going to come in season 3. He's already done filming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember seeing him in season 2.
He had 35 seasons of Supernatural to film, guys. Give him a break.
Hey, you know what? I stopped watching after season 8. I imagine he was still good in it. He plays Dean like it's his job.
I love that show so
Yeah, I
much.
do too. Like 8 out of the 15 seasons were really good.
Yeah.
Not a true Supernatural fan.
It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss, but I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
The finale of this movie taking place up high on some beams. The greatest part of that end fight to me was they made a whole backstory on why that bad guy would be so great up there. Being like, I used to work up here, and my dad sent me up here when I was young, and so I'm used to this. I miss this life, and it's just like they made up that whole backstory so that he could do this great, and Liam Neeson would be like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna fall down."
Look at this! Look at this
Liam
nail
Neeson
gun.
should have known if I can survive acid, blowing up, and everything else, falling off 600 feet won't be a problem. I'll climb back up. Don't worry.
Right?
I gotta say, I was slightly disappointed because like this movie clearly has some Universal monster movie like points of reference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's very clearly Sam Raimi trying to make a Universal monster movie, and that's why I think I love it so much because those movies are entirely my shit.
This
but,
is the Mummy.
Yeah, essentially, it's like
the Invisible
Mummy
Man
meets Invisible Man meets Wolf.
Yeah.
Like it takes from all of those, and I love it. But I was thinking
That explains
like,
the daylight thing.
In all of those, the monster dies at the end, you know? And I was just waiting for Liam Neeson to just kind of be like, screw it, and just jump at him, grab him, and they both plummet. And I was like, that's the ending I want. I want the King Kong ending. I want the Invisible Man ending. Like,
technically, the human side of him does die.
That is fair. That is fair.
He becomes Bruce Campbell, so we all win in the end.
Yeah,
You
so
know-
maybe Bruce Campbell needs to be in the Darkman reboot.
I like how you went through all of that because he wanted to get back with her, and then at the end he finally gets her, and she's okay with how he looks, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." It's like, okay.
He's like, you never were supposed to accept this. Leave me alone.
Like, oh, I'm okay with myself now. I have self-esteem. I don't need to be with you anymore. And he left.
What is wrong with you? I look like shit. No one in their right mind would want to be with this.
He was
I'm gonna
like, I
stop crying
can't,
now. I
I
don't
can't be
need
with
you.
somebody who would lower their standards to
I
this.
can't be with a psychopath.
You know, I was kind of surprised by the twist of the guy the CEO guy becoming like partners with Durant, because I was like, I thought the whole point of this whole fucking blow up was because that Durant could discover that you had this bribe done to make your mega city, and then they were in cahoots, and I was like, okay.
I love how that.
You know what? Once he stepped on stage, I knew he was the bad guy.
Yeah, but I was just
I saw his stupid
really?
face, like, you're a piece of garbage.
Since you brought that up here,
He definitely has that punchable face.
He does. I even thought that Julie was going to punch him in the face a couple times. Every time we first meet him, hey, how you doing? Bam!
There's a couple times she should have.
Speaking of Julie, question.
He's literally like Christopher Walken's son from Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, he
yeah,
is.
fuck that guy.
Is
They
she
kind of
a
have the same
reporter?
villain or motives.
Is she a reporter or a detective?
She's an attorney.
Yeah, I thought
Attorney.
she was-
Okay.
She's
I'm
yeah.
totally wrong.
I love
It's
how
like-
that I love how that paper with the coffee stain is just sitting right on top of his desk.
You know,
like,
when
how do you
kill
not know that
somebody and have
this
incriminating
was-
evidence? You just leave it everywhere.
Yeah, just
Hey,
leave
you're gonna
it
come
there.
accuse somebody. Yeah, you're like,
Months
hey, this really
later.
big document. Yeah.
Months
I'm-
later, you know, I leave my briefcase open when the person who would know what that is out there and be like, you know, I hope she doesn't look that way.
But I always have respect for the bad guy who goes, "Oh, I wish you hadn't seen that. I wish you hadn't gone snooping." Although you didn't have to snoop, it literally was right there. I wish you wouldn't have found that. Now I gotta kill you, but I'm not gonna, cause I'm a douche. Like,
No,
just
but
kill her. Be done with it.
That's straight up like 90s villain though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
You know,
once again, it's
If
Max
you
Schreck
hadn't
from Batman
done this, I
Returns.
wouldn't have to kill you.
The best shot in this whole movie, it goes back to what Sam was saying about the background, the green screen, but also it has that Sam Raimi campiness, is when he does that kind of slide down the stairs when that bomb blows up. When they come after him in the warehouse, I literally could have rewound that 50 more times and laughed because he's just like, woo, he falls down, and I'm just like, this guy is almost like his girlfriend just got stolen by those guys. They're shooting at him with rocket launchers and whatever, and he's like, let me slide down the stairs and make a noise. And I was just like,
If that movie
But isn't that when he got caught? Like his pants or his shirt got caught, so the only way to escape is literally to slide down.
sometimes you gotta have a little fun, yeah.
All I know is that if this movie were made today and they throw that on social media, that'd be like one of those boomerang videos of him just going up and down and sliding up and down, up and down.
You know what, Brian? I'm on it.
You know, it's funny though, because like we saw the last thing I'll say about, because one of those direct sequels is the return of Durant. I was like, based on a helicopter scene, there is zero possibility that Durant survived that helicopter.
What do you mean? I saw him at the end.
Well, I say when he showed up at the end and he actually had blood and stuff like that. Maybe he did survive. I don't know how he survived. He got drugged along with that.
Make contact. There's no way it was like a Dark Knight Rises. Like, I'm just gonna yeet out of here real quick, and
well, then he got drugged behind anyway. So that dude, that dude is impervious to damage.
That was easily
didn't work in the Dark Knight Rises either.
Yeah, true.
Makes no
sense. You got 15 seconds, man.
Yeah. that was the studio going. That was the studio going. We want to make this movie. We want to make a sequel. Well, Liam Neeson's not going to come back, so we need a familiar face. Can we undead Larry Drake?
Yeah, right.
By the way, he also, that whole scene where he attaches the hook in the helicopter, they're going to go in a tunnel. It's almost the same like Mission Impossible, so I think Mission Impossible stole from this movie.
Oh, that's 100%. Yeah.
Because, Tom Cruise doesn't steal anything from anybody.
I was going to say, Brian De Palma is a huge Darkman stan, so he's like, I have to put this in my movie.
Unbeknownst to us, there's a huge shrine to Sam Raimi in De Palma's
I always
house.
forget that De Palma did the first Mission Impossible.
He did.
I always forget that. Oh my god.
What? Because you're too stuck on John Woo doing Mission Impossible 2.
Okay, like no lie, I do love Mission Impossible 2. It's so stupid, but I love it.
I like it more than the first Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I think it's got more entertainment value, to be totally honest.
That's not possible. That's literally not possible.
I guess let's quickly touch on. Has anyone watched these sequels?
No.
Mm-mm. Does anyone want to watch these sequels without Sam
Raimi?
I
kind of want to now.
Are they in it? Can I watch them for free?
Are they on the cock? I don't
know. Checking right now, please.
I'll look right now.
Like, here's the thing. I mean, if you guys haven't derived this from this conversation, I really like garbage movies. So
you watch Shopping Mall.
I will 100% be putting Darkman 2 and 3 on my watch list for sure.
I would like to check it out just because, like, I do like when they bring back characters from the first one that were like, hey, we know this isn't going to do as good, but we're going to bring you some familiar faces. Like, I do want to see that crazy doctor in the third one probably being super savage to a bunch of patients and being like, it's totally justified. Like, don't worry about it.
Maybe creating the supervillain that he has to fight.
Yeah,
and like,
right.
You said, Garrett, like, the guy who plays Emotep in the Brendan Fraser Mummy takes over for Liam Neeson. I'm like, what? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's a huge 180. I don't know. I mean, what else has he been in besides the Mummy? So I'm like,
if he can become the president in G.I. Joe, he can become Darkman.
I would say Agent Cody Banks. He was in there too.
Oh my god,
he was the big honcho man.
Now I want to go home and watch Agent Cody Banks.
The sequels are available streaming. They're only for rental, so you got to pay $4.
That's not a problem.
You know what? I bet they made the Darkman trilogy as a box set. Just buy it that way for $10.
Oh yeah, they probably did actually.
Yeah.
I would put that trilogy on my shelf.
I want to see if they made toys. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, definitely the one-legged thug toy.
If you, Garrett, if they didn't, just take your favorite toy, burn its face off a little bit, wrap it up in bandages. Yeah,
I'll get the same toy. Painted black and
just grab a G.I. Joe, rip his leg off, and shove a gun underneath.
Shove a little gun in there.
Darkman, just take a Doc Ock action figure from Spider-Man 2 and take the octopus tentacles off and just melt his face a little bit. He'll be good.
I would like to point out, according to Last Stop CD Shop, at one point they did have the trilogy of Darkman movies, but because of how amazing this movie is, neither store for Last Stop CD Shop has any copy of anything Darkman related. But they've
literally pulled off the shelf.
That's what eBay is for. I'm blind buy 2 movies.
Sam's going to do it right now while we finish this show.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just get out my phone.
Pull his eBay app up.
That seller would be like, holy shit, I got to go dig that out of that box.
That's a thing. Turn
I
it.
forgot I had this listed. Do I even still have this?
He sent you a message. Are you sure you want the sequels too?
There are Darkman toys I just looked up, but it's only Darkman, and he has different heads and hands you can put on.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, that's cool. Is it like a NECA?
No, it's probably from 1990.
Does it look
Probably.
Liam Neeson accurate?
There you go, Sam.
$10.
Dope. That's not bad. I'm gonna check
Alex
that out.
is right on.
Is that on Amazon?
Amazon, it's third party, $10.56, but it's Prime, so you can get free shipping.
Sweet.
Ooh.
All
The
right.
toy is on Amazon too, $246.
Oh,
There
you go. Pick it up.
Worth it.
Yeah, no.
Pick it up. Sell
Order
your
soon.
gauntlet and get that toy.
No, can't do it.
All right, I'm going to
Can't do
transition into the last question I have for all 6 of us here, boys. If you're going to pair this Darkman right here with another movie for an ultimate double feature, not featuring another Darkman movie because no one wants to sit through that, with another
Sam
movie,
does.
I do. I 100%
except
do.
Sam Lens, what's the movie you guys are going to pair it with?
Live Free or Die Hard. If I want to watch helicopters explode, first I watch Darkman do it by tying it to a semi, and then I watch John McClane chuck a cop car at one, and both helicopters explode. And then when I watch some piece of garbage dude being a little monkey climbing in a shaft, and he gets grinded into hamburger, it'll just remind me that Darkman went through even worse garbage and survived. So that dude from Live Free is a wiener.
That is
I think this might also be
fire
Alex
double
going.
feature. I love it.
Yeah.
I think this is Alex going. I've watched like 5 movies. Which one can I pair this with?
I did have to cycle through, and I've actually said about the 4 that I've seen. So Lethal Weapon got brought up, Turtles, Live Free, Die Hard. I'm only missing the last one that I've seen. That's Winter Soldier. Boom, sold it.
I do love Live Free or Die Hard, so I would 100% watch that double feature. I don't know. I think I would pair it. Like honestly, I would make it the second movie in a double feature, and the first one I would do The Invisible Man, the 1933 one, James Whale's The Invisible Man. I love that movie, and it's very clearly like an influence on this one, from the face bandages and everything to just the fact that he goes crazy and he's not necessarily a hero. Yeah, I just think the parallels are there, and I think it would make a pretty killer double feature. I think this is actually a more faithful Invisible Man adaptation, weirdly enough, than the 2021.
Shut it.
The 2021 is incredible. I absolutely adore that movie. So, but yeah, the 1933 Invisible Man and then Darkman. That's my double feature.
I think it's very easy just to be like this and Spider-Man, or this and even Drag Me to Hell.
It's too easy.
It's too easy. So I'm going to say this movie. Ooh, I've been thinking about it this whole time, so I've been quiet even when you brought up, Sam, that you love Live Free, Die Hard. I was going to make a comment, but I won't.
It's the 4th best Die Hard movie, okay?
It's the 3rd best Die Hard movie.
I agree.
You're right,
Third.
it is the 4th case. No, 4th.
It's
I
the
wanna-
3rd, Alex. So we're in good company.
Yeah, I'm going to take the easy
The only
way
reason I
out.
know that it's 4th for Marvin is from 2 when you get that icicle in the eye.
I'm going to take the
I
easy way out and
He's
say
good stuff.
Army of Darkness. And that's-
Okay,
Mhm.
I can dig that
Yeah.
because both of them are very 90s and both of them are very Raimi.
They are zany as hell.
Yeah.
Mine would be a very like old school Mission Impossible, because like, okay, hear me out. This is where I thought about this before looking up the sequels. I was like, what would this look like for Darkman after he's done like dealing with his emotional crime? Like he's going to keep fighting crime, right? So if they have him and like all those guys that can put the face technology on and stuff, like try to infiltrate like all the same like crimes and whatnot, that I would dig that, because I think it'd be like that's where I picture this going next if Liam Neeson stuck around. Like
You think
take
Ethan
them
Hunt's like,
Axel
this is too fucking easy. I'm going to have a guy come on board that is clearly crazy.
no, not together. They're going to be against each other. They're against
okay.
each other. They're
Face
both
versus
trying
face.
to take down the threat.
But
So your idea of the Face-Off reboot is
Exactly.
Darkman versus Ethan Hunt.
Yes, exactly.
You went that way. You went that way, and I just pictured somehow Tom Cruise convinces Darkman just to sit in a lab and make masks for him all day.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, that'll be the sequel. So I'll be like,
only
oh,
lasts
well,
99
Darkman's got to
minutes,
do
though.
this now.
It's told from Liam Neeson's perspective. He never leaves the lab. He's just making faces for Tom Cruise.
I
Oh, he's
remember when
not
I
good
loved
at it.
someone named
On-screen.
Julie.
Darkman needs a job.
So Brian,
Like
he's not
12
good at
Angry
it.
Men. It's in the lab. There's
It took
no
him
other set.
571 hours for that mask. Like they got to move quicker than that.
Right?
It was the first one that he didn't have the full picture.
I'm gonna pair this with a Raimi adjacent movie from I think like a year or two before Darkman came out. His buddy Scott Spiegel directed Intruder, which is a slasher movie set entirely inside of a convenience store and has similar zaniness. It includes the Raimi brothers as well. Both Ted and Sam are in that movie, and it is a bonkers late '80s slasher movie. And I'm gonna play Darkman first, and then that one, I think.
You
Real
think?
quick question: Ted's the guy who gets his head.
Yes,
smashed
he's the
by
one that's up through the
December.
manhole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just remember, he's in Spider-Man too, getting yelled at by J.K. Simmons.
Oh yeah,
So-
that is
so
that guy.
He's the one
I
who
was
wants to
wondering what he looked
name
like.
him Green Meanie. That's right.
Yeah.
He's
Get out of
also in the new Creep Show season, the Public Television of the Dead or whatever,
As himself.
as himself. And
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
seriously the greatest. It's one of my favorite segments of the entire show. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's great.
This is one of those ones, Casey, when you ask this question every single week. I had an answer from the moment we decided we were going to do this here. You're going with the whole Sam Raimi and all this different stuff with Jason and whatnot. Larry Drake, the guy that plays Durant, there's literally only three things that I know him from. And this definitely shows my age because other than this, he was also famous for a show called LA Law. But a couple years after he did this, which is, again, another movie I want to see Casey and Sam's reaction after watching this movie, is he himself is in his own slasher film as Dr. Giggles.
My God.
I have never seen Dr. Giggles.
I've never even heard of that. I am 100% on board with it. That title sells
I
me.
know.
I don't need to know anything else about the movie.
Okay,
Dr. Giggles. It's a slasher. I'm in.
so I
Do you
will
have
tell
it?
you this.
Can I borrow it?
When we started talking about this, I immediately went to go look and whatnot. But like, okay, it's not streaming anywhere for free and whatnot. It is available digitally for $5. It is an MA title, and I was like, I bought that shit real fast, even to the point where like Dr. Giggles.
Okay.
And mind you, it says horror, thriller, drama in terms of like the descriptors for it. But before all of those, on anywhere I have looked, comedy comes first.
It's a 90s slasher. Definitely that
Hey,
comedy.
I used to see this movie at the video rental store on the shelf.
Yeah. This will be one of those ones again with Darkman and whatnot. When you'd go to the store to go rent and be like, what is that weird shit that I can go rent for? I couldn't even tell you how many times I probably rented this as a kid that I probably should not have been watching this movie.
You're going to go to the video rental store. You're going to pick up Darkman, The Dentist, and Dr. Giggles all in one fell swoop, and you're going to have a fun Saturday night eating some Pizza Hut and drinking some Mountain Dew.
Oh, but
Dr. Giggles boasts an 18% on the tomato meter, which in horror comedy is really good. It means that the movie is actually incredible. You get more worried when it gets up to like 80-90% because like those people don't know horror or comedy. So
Sam, it is also Screen Pass, so I can just send you the link.
Okay, you gotta do it because it's $10 on.
All right. This is stuff for after the show, boys. We're still recording here.
This is the first time I've given a recommendation where you two are like, yeah.
Next episode, Dr. Giggles.
Dr. Giggles. All right. Speaking of next episode, hey, next week we're going to talk about, and actually I want to get the Wednesday Comics guys' opinion on this. We're talking about Mystery Men. Unbeknownst to us, this is actually based on a comic book, at least a comic book character. Have you guys seen the movie, and how much is it actually based off that comic book character?
Actually,
we need to change our week.
when I saw it on the list, I was like, that one's based on a comic. I should have said something at the time, but I was like, that one's based on a comic. I thought the thing was that it wasn't based on a comic. It is, the comic is very, same thing like with The Mask and Men in Black. Like the comic is very dark, but the movies are comedic. So I think it's enough change that I feel like it's fine.
It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We were going to do the specials with Jamie Kennedy and Rob Lowe, but that movie is impossible to find. So we're leaving that one off for at least for Patreon, because we don't want to make a guest try to scour eBay for a $90 copy of the specials.
I've got my copy for $4 at Last Stop.
Yeah. last copy, probably.
I've never seen it.
Even Last Stop is just like, here.
Yeah.
Take it.
Another one pulled off our
It
shelves.
was in the section of DVDs that they were like, no one buys these.
Really?
Just practically take them. Yeah.
I had to run to Last Stop to get the last copy of this movie for $8 on DVD.
God, no,
because this movie is going for like $30 on eBay just to buy the damn movie on DVD.
To be fair, I also bought mine like 2 years ago. Maybe it wasn't as highly sought out then. I don't know.
People are wanting that Jamie Kennedy comic book movies. That's what they want.
Well, and didn't James Gunn write it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it off to either Marvin, Alex, or Garrett. Can you guys let's give us a plug for Wednesday Comics, and again what you guys are gonna be doing at
Marvin.
SuperCon.
Marvin, yes.
WednesdayComics.com is the website you can go to. Subscribe to the show. It's actually very similar ways you could the Backlot 605 podcast. We will be at SuperCon on October 2nd. SuperCon is the 1st through the 3rd, but we'll be there the 2nd after dark. I think, what time did we agree on? 10?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. I would have been late. 9 o'clock for a show. And, not sure what it's going to be yet, but usually we just figure out a way to make it not very comic book focused, because even though a lot of people at that con are into comic books, maybe they're kind of adjacent. They watch the movies or they, collect stuff about it, but they don't necessarily read the comics. And so we try to do something that is all inclusive. And so we'll probably do that night. But otherwise, you can listen to the podcast. Go to WednesdayComics.com. It has all the links for everything there.
Awesome.
Right on. I'm going to throw out a suggestion. You can take it or leave it. Do Jamie Kennedy comic book movies, because you could do the specials and you could do Son of the Mask.
Yeah, Son of the Mask. I know when you said Jamie Kennedy, I was like, oh yeah, there we go.
Everybody loves Son of the Mask. You got to talk about it.
There's a reason why most people did not watch that movie, myself included.
I did watch that movie in the theater. Why? I don't know.
Were you the only one?
From what I remember, probably.
Yeah. I think the only Jamie Kennedy movies I've seen in the theater was Scream.
What's that one where he was the gangster?
Miami's Most Wanted.
Miami's Most Wanted. Oh god,
Malibu's Most
Wanted.
Sorry,
which is a cinematic treasure in its own right.
That's right.
Be on the lookout for Jamie. Be on the lookout for Jamie Kennedy month coming up on Backlot 605. Hopefully, very soon.
I'm glad we're planned out through like January.
We're gonna do back-to-back Jamie Kennedy, Pauly Shore. It's gonna be a fun, raucous Backlot 605.
Biodome.
Pauly Shore, 100%.
I will straight up do. I will do Biodome any day.
Yeah.
You ever think about?
I hate Biodome, but I will watch Biodome if we get to talk Encino Man and Son-in-Law.
Ooh,
you ever think instead of doing Mystery Men, since it is based on a comic, you could do Meteor Man?
I've never even heard of Meteor Man.
Brian, do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Is this the one I'm thinking? Is it one of the Wayans brothers?
No, that's Blank Man.
It was Blank Man. We could do Blank Man too.
Do Blank Man. There's a lot of possibilities around that era. Like this is Blank Man. You know what? I think actually, Casey, I was thinking of Blank Man, but I said the Meteor Man, which is also another movie. These are both great choices. So.
Maybe we'll do a special episode on Blank Man / Meteor Man.
Blank Man is on Pluto TV as we speak.
Yeah, there we go. Right on.
Meteor Man does sound kind of good. I'm not gonna lie.
No. If we get a chance to, we got to talk Blank Man, because that is a Wayne's brother masterpiece.
All right, let's finish up on this show here. Let's get through our plugs really quick. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, HQ. Brian, I'm going to throw you the subscribe one just because I stole the social medias.
Yeah, way to go, screwing it all up on us here. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon, and check out our wonderful pretty faces on YouTube.
And you can also help support the show. Sam, where?
On Patreon, where we do 4 bonus episodes a month. In fact, right after this, we will be recording a Malignant episode, so you can hear all of our full thoughts on Malignant. We will also be doing one on Tremors and on the specials later this month. So if you want to hear us talk about those, Patreon is the place to do it.
All right, so that's all we got to plug going on. Again, first weekend of October is SuperCon. You can see all 6 of our lovely faces there at some point. Alex, Garrett, and Marvin will be signing autographs from what I've heard. They go for a lot of money on eBay, let me tell you. So just make sure you get a movie Alex has never seen and have him sign it for you.
Mine goes for the specials kind of money, so go ahead and
$30.
Alex, will you sign my sorority babes at the Slimeball Bolorama Blu-ray?
Boom. You got it.
You go to resell it. Who's Alex Pastrana? What does he have to do with this movie? He's never seen it. That's why he signed it.
Yeah.
That's why he signed it. He didn't even know what he was signing. He's like, okay.
Sam, you should bring Live Free or Die Hard since you both enjoy that movie.
Oh my God,
Nobody else does.
And I'll leave him right on there. The number 3 best Die Hard.
Yes.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Alex, Garrett, Marvin, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a blast. We'll definitely have to do this again. Maybe
Soon.
The Darkman sequels. I don't know.
Ooh, there you go. Well, thanks for having us. This is a blast.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, for Brian
They're all like, what are you
Mensing,
getting us into?
for Brian Mensing, Sam Lenz, I'm Casey Kelderman. We'll talk to you next time on the Backlot of South Dakota.